I got those for your look.
Smack me, bitch! Smack me, bitch! Yes! Everything.
I got
Second,
brush for
everything.
Jake.
Yeah, but it feels nice.
Hairbrush. Hairbrush. Hairbrush.
Can't beat a fresh haircut.
Close your eyes for a second. Now picture this. It's 1980. The air smells faintly of hairspray and fish and chips. Sweet Dreams by Eurythmics is playing on the radio, and your dad's just come home with a VHS rental of Back to the Future. Even though it's not out yet because, well, it's still 1980. Britain in the 1980s was loud, proud, and chaotically charming. It was a time when kids played outside until the streetlights came on. The milkman still did his rounds, and everyone knew someone who taped songs off the radio, with the DJ's voice halfway through the chorus. But it wasn't all neon socks and Top of the Pops. Beneath the perms and polyester was a country going through one of its most radical transformations, politically, culturally, even spiritually. So, what was it really like to live in 1980s Britain? Let's relive it together. Life in the 1980s, Britain had its own rhythm. Slow, simple, and filled with the smell of toast and gravy. Class was everywhere. Working class families lived in terraced houses with net curtains and coal fires, while middle class homes showed off microwaves they barely used. Sundays meant roast dinners and 3 TV channels, 4 if you were fancy. Kids ate Frosties, wore itchy uniforms, and watched Grange Hill before biking around the cul-de-sac. Garbage pail kids were currency, and you knew to be home before neighbours started. Teens lived on mixtapes, Topshop, and woolly angst. If you had a Walkman, you were a legend. Adults smoked everywhere, at home, in cars, at work. Dads loosened their ties and turned on Coronation Street, while mums ruled the VCR and made sure dinner was on time. Homes had floral wallpaper, brown carpets, and at least one Baby Cham bottle on display. TVs were wooden boxes. Phones had cords, and if you had Betamax instead of VHS, well, bad luck. People talked at the post office over garden fences on doorsteps. No mobiles, no internet, just word of mouth and a cuppa. Cars were boxy, loud, and smelled like crisps and cassette tapes. Ford Escorts and Vauxhall Cavaliers ruled the road. Sat nav. Dad with a map, and Mum saying, "You've missed the turn." Buses were red, crowded, and exciting, especially the top front seat on the double-decker. Tickets clunked out of the conductor's machine like treasure. Trains, always late, freezing or boiling with tea in cardboard cups and orange-brown seats. Holidays meant Butlins or a caravan at the coast. Windy beaches, raincoats in July, and 99 flakes eaten in towels. If you went abroad, it was Spain, sunburn, sangria, and trying to ask for chips in your best holiday Spanish. The night bloated on a pile of hairspray. Clothes were loud, neon leggings, oversized jumpers, and shoulder pads you could land a plane on. More was more, and subtlety was banned. Hair defied gravity. Perms were everywhere. Boys had mullets, girls had teased fringes, and hairspray was practically atmospheric. Subcultures ruled the streets. Punks with safety pins and snarls. New romantics dressed like Victorian poets in eyeliner. Mods on scooters. Every look told a story loudly. Music and fashion were soulmates. Madonna clones in lace gloves and crucifixes. Duran Duran fans with bouffant hair and pastel jackets. If you loved a band, you dressed the part. British cool collided with American pop. MTV, Dynasty, The Breakfast Club. Glamour, rebellion and identity came wrapped in glitter and eyeliner. And behind every wild outfit was a teenager who truly believed no one had ever felt feelings as deeply as they did, while dancing alone in their bedroom to a mixtape they made themselves. What did you wear in the 80s? And would you dare wear it again today? Entertainment in the 1980s. Britain was simple, shared, and totally unforgettable. TV had just 4 channels. If you missed your favourite show, tough. You waited for the repeat. The telly shut down at night with the national anthem and remote controls. Not in most homes. Your little brother was the remote. VHS tapes changed everything. Renting a movie was an event. You picked it based on the cover, hoped it wasn't already taken, and prayed it had been rewound. If your family had Betamax, you heard about it. Music came on vinyl, cassette, or the radio. You made mixtapes from Top of the Pops and tried to pause before the DJ ruined the outro. A Sony Walkman made you feel invincible. Everyone rewound tapes with a pencil because they always got chewed. Video games arrived on cassette. ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, pixelated magic after 10 minutes of loading noise. Crash? Start again. Arcades were electric temples of Pac-Man, Space Invaders, and sticky buttons. Everything was shared. One TV, one radio, one tape deck, and somehow it brought everyone together. And if you had £5 in your pocket, that was a fortune. Enough for a cassette single, a packet of crisps, a fizzy drink, and still change for the arcade. Being a kid in 1980s, Britain was a mix of scraped knees, soggy packed lunches, and the absolute thrill of having the last word in a playground argument with "My dad's bigger than your dad. Let's start with school." Uniforms were non-negotiable: grey trousers or skirts, stiff collars, itchy jumpers, and blazers that never quite fit. If your school had a clip-on tie, you were lucky. If it didn't, you were constantly trying to knot yours in the mirror without choking yourself. Classrooms had the smell of chalk dust, boiled cabbage from the lunch hall, and that weird disinfectant they used on everything. Desks were wooden, carved with the initials of past students, and the blackboard was the centre of command. No smart boards, no laptops, just chalk, squeaky pens, and overhead projectors that never worked properly. Punishments? Oh, they were real. Detentions, lines, being made to stand outside the head teacher's office. And in some schools, you could still get the cane. Teachers did not smile much, and if they did, it usually meant trouble. Recess, playtime, if you will, was chaos in the best way. Games like British Bulldog, banned in some schools for being too rough, conkers, skipping ropes, and those plastic hand clappers you weren't supposed to bring. Football was played with whatever round object you could find, and arguments were settled with rock, paper, scissors, or a quick chase around the yard. At home, kids watched cartoons like Danger Mouse, The Raccoons, or Super Ted. Saturday mornings were sacred. Going live. With Philip Schofield and